They call it the night that eats people. Every year, on the exact same date, someone from the small town of Marrow Creek, Kentucky, disappears. No body, no struggle, no trace, just gone. And for the last 37 years, no one has figured out why. Until last year, when someone finally made it back. Marrow Creek sits tucked between the Appalachian hills, a place time forgot. No malls, no traffic lights, just long roads that twist like veins. Through it's thick enough to swallow sound. The population? Barely 800. Everyone knows everyone, and everyone knows what happens. On October 12th, at first, they called it coincidence, then fate, then something else, something darker. Because every October 12th, like clockwork, someone disappears before sunrise. It started in 1988. A teenage boy named Jacob Wells was walking home from football practice. He cut through the woods near Harper's Creek. He never made it home. A week later, police found his backpack, perfectly dry, lying beside the creek. The rest of him was never found. The following year, same night, same date, an elderly woman vanished from her porch. Cup of tea still warm. Rocking chair still moving. By the third year, the town stopped pretending it was random. In Marrow Creek, October 12th became an unofficial holiday. Shops closed early. Kids weren't allowed out. Windows were locked. Lights stayed on all night. Locals called it the stay inside. It wasn't written down, but everyone followed it. Everyone except outsiders, because every few years, a new face would move into town. Someone who didn't believe in ghost stories. Someone who thought it was all superstition. And every time, they were the ones who vanished. For decades, one man tried to solve the mystery. Sheriff Dale Hardin. He'd been a rookie deputy the night Jacob Wells disappeared. He made a promise to Jacob's mother that he'd find out what happened. 30 years later, he was still trying. His office was filled with files, maps, reports, missing person posters, and one thing that kept him awake at night, the pattern. Every disappearance occurred within a 4-mile radius of the same stretch of forest. Hollow Ridge. Each time, the victim's last known location was within hearing distance of the old Harper Bridge, a crumbling wooden overpass built before World War II. Locals said they heard strange noises from it on October nights, like humming or whispering. No one ever checked, until Sheriff Hardin did. On October 12, 2003, the sheriff decided to stay at Harper Bridge all night. He brought 2 deputies, a radio, and a thermos of black coffee. At 11:40 p.m., the radio cut out. The deputies said they heard something, a voice low and steady, coming from under the bridge. Then there was a scream. The deputies ran. When they came back, the sheriff was gone. The next morning, they found his cruiser still running on the roadside. Inside his notepad, on the last page, he'd written 4 words. It wasn't a name. No one knew what it meant. And from that year on, no one ever went near the bridge again. For 36 years, no one who disappeared ever returned. Until last year, her name was Megan Foster, a college student visiting family. She vanished on October 12, 2023, while driving home from her aunt's house. Her car was found abandoned by the edge of the forest. The driver's door open, headlights still on, but 3 days later, she walked out, barefoot, covered in mud, and silent. When police found her wandering down Route 7, she was whispering one sentence over and over. "It's not done counting." Detectives said Megan refused to speak for 2 weeks. Then she asked to see the old sheriff's daughter, Claire Hardin, who now worked as a journalist in Lexington. Their meeting was recorded, and what Megan said still makes investigators lose sleep. She said she'd been driving when her radio cut out. A strange signal, a voice repeating numbers, over and over, 10, 11, 12. Then she saw a light on the side of the road. She thought it was a car accident. She stopped. There was no car, just fog, thick and unnatural, like it was alive. She stepped forward, and everything went black. When she woke up, she was standing in a clearing, but it wasn't day or night. It was both, like the sun and moon were fighting in the same sky. Around her were others, men, women, children, all standing perfectly still. Some wore modern clothes. Others looked like they were from decades ago. And in the center of the clearing was the bridge, but it wasn't broken anymore. It was new, gleaming, wet and breathing. It wasn't made of wood, she said. It was made of people. Investigators compared Megan's account with old reports. Every victim, Jacob Wells, the old woman, the sheriff, had disappeared between 11:30 p.m. and 12 a.m. Each year, one person, no more, no less, until Megan returned, breaking the cycle. Forensic experts went back to her car. The radio was fried, as if hit by a power surge. But when they replaced the fuse and turned it on, it played something, a faint voice whispering, 36. No music, no static, just that number, repeated 3 times. The case reopened, but the deeper they dug, the stranger it got. Megan drew a map from memory. It matched Hollow Ridge perfectly, except for one thing. In her version, there was a small circular clearing, marked with a symbol, an old Celtic rune. It meant exchange. They checked property records. That exact spot was owned by the Wells family, Jacob's parents, the same boy who disappeared in 1988. When investigators went there, they found something buried beneath the soil, a wooden box sealed with wax. Inside were photographs, dozens of them, each showing a missing person, all taken the night they vanished. And every photo had the same background. Harper Bridge. The earliest one was dated 1936, 52 years before Jacob Wells, meaning this didn't start in the 80s. It started generations ago. Under the photos was a journal belonging to a man named Samuel Harper, the builder of the bridge. In it, he wrote about the town's founding, how the first settlers built Marrow Creek on land they didn't own but borrowed. He mentioned an agreement, one no one remembered signing. Every harvest season, the land would take one to give men. At the time, it sounded like superstition, a symbolic offering. But Harper's final entry made it sound like something else. It comes every year. It chooses who walks the crossing. The rest of us must watch. Megan said the place she woke up, the clearing, was surrounded by fog. And at the center was that bridge, alive and moving, stretching over an endless pit of black water. She said she saw people being called, one, by something she couldn't see. Every time someone stepped forward, their body froze, then vanished. She said she felt her own name being called, a voice whispering Megan like it was testing it. But before she could answer, another voice, a man's voice, shouted, "Not this one." Then she woke up on the roadside. The man's voice, investigators believed, was Sheriff Hardin's, because when they dug near Harper Bridge, after Megan's account, they found something buried beneath the structure, a sheriff's badge, his, wrapped in an old scrap of police notepad paper. On it, for words, "I gave him mine," meaning Hardin may have bargained with the thing to save someone else, and it took him instead. A retired professor named Dr. Elaine Mercer, an expert on Appalachian folklore, was brought in to analyze Harper's journal. She said it referenced an ancient belief, common among early settlers, a spirit known as the Taker of Names. They believed it guarded the forest and demanded one soul every year to keep balance. If no one offered, it would take one by force. The ritual was simple. Once every year, someone's name must be spoken aloud. At the edge of the bridge, that person would vanish, and the rest would live another year in peace. But the settlers didn't realize that by naming others, they cursed their own descendants. October 12, 2024, Megan left town, but the night didn't pass quietly. Around 11:45 p.m., a man named Ben Holloway, owner of the local diner, was seen locking up early. Security footage shows him pausing at the door, looking toward the woods. Then, faintly on the audio, he says something. "It's my turn." He walked off camera, never seen again. In his house, police found a note. "You can't break a promise you don't know you made." The next morning, the fog lifted early, and for the first time in history, no one else disappeared. Just him. Megan now lives under a new name. She hasn't spoken publicly since the investigation closed, but she did tell one reporter something before leaving. It's not over. It just knows how to wait. The FBI keeps the case sealed, but locals say the bridge still hums every October. And if you drive through Marrow Creek on the night of the 12th, you'll see candles on windowsills, one for each person taken. The last one, always placed by the sheriff's daughter, Claire. She still visits her father's grave, and sometimes she swears she hears his voice in the wind, whispering those same 4 words. They want a name. They say evil doesn't need permission. It just needs repetition. And in Marrow Creek, repetition became tradition. A town built on fear, a bridge built on names, and a curse built on silence. Every October 12th, the town holds its breath, praying it won't be their name that gets called next. Because if history has taught them anything, it's this. You can lock your doors, keep your lights on, and never speak a word. But when the night comes for you, it already knows who you are. This is Hidden Case Files, True Crime, where patterns aren't coincidences. They're warnings. Subscribe, because some towns don't forget. They collect.